As the Enclave's modified FEV project entered its final phase of development during the summer of 2241, the clandestine organization began implementing preparations for its release into the jet stream from their Pacific oil rig base, thus fulfilling the Enclave's sinister goal of eradicating all mutated subhumans in the world. But just as the Enclave was preparing for its ascendancy, another one of the wasteland's unlikely heroes would emerge from the tribal village of Areo and put a dent in the Enclave's plans. While in search of a Garden of Eden creation kit to save his tribe from impending failure, the Chosen One's epic quest through northern New California would transform into a mission to save the world from the Enclave's genocidal plans. Welcome to our video on the return of the Enclave and the Chosen One's quest to stop them. You won't need to trek out to Vault City in search of precious things because we've got a discount for you with our sponsor today, Thorum. Thorum produces handmade rings with unique designs and unique materials. You can get a ring crafted from World War II rifle stocks, Damascus steel, or crushed meteorites. They've been building their collection over the years, and now there are plenty of cool designs to choose from in their store at Thorum.com, with new patent-pending watches available too. There's something for every taste and every occasion. In fact, the founder of this channel went and got his wife the Victoria, a moissanite-encrusted band to symbolize their lasting love. Every ring comes with a silicone band to wear for cases where the ring itself needs to be removed, and comes in a beautiful oak case. Even better, you get a lifetime warranty with full replacement for all time, no questions asked. And you get free international shipping with all orders hand polished and dispatched in one business day. If that's not enough, here's a discount. Use the code WIZ20 at checkout to get 20% off your order. Be it a wedding, engagement, anniversary, or you just want to wear a ring that stands out, go check out the collection at Thorum.com, link in the description. The man who would become known to wasteland legend as the Chosen One was born in 2221 in the village of Areo, the son of the Areo Elder, and grandson of the legendary Vault Dweller who had saved New California long ago. From birth, the Chosen One was raised to become Areo's champion and future elder. This vigorous upbringing included drug sessions with Hakunin, the village shaman, and intensive studying in the art of leadership with his mother. The Chosen One's ultimate challenge, though, would occur just after he turned 20, in the year 2241. By that year, the village of Areo was in critical danger of failure. Dying crops, sick Brahmin packs, and starving children threatened to destroy the people. The Chosen One's mother informed him that they had but one chance for survival, and that was by acquiring a Garden of Eden creation kit, or GECK. The Elder knew from her father's writings that Vault 13 possessed a GECK in its library. Obtaining a GECK would mean salvation for the tribe. But before the Chosen One could embark on his quest, he first had to prove himself worthy of his title. And so, on July 25, 2241, the Chosen One entered the Temple of Trials outside Areo, which his mother had completed long ago, and maneuvered his way through the temple halls and its challenges. Reaching the end of the temple's trials, the Chosen One recovered the ragged Vault 13 jumpsuit of his grandfather, the Vault Dweller, and his Pip-Boy 2000. Wearing his grandfather's jumpsuit and Pip-Boy, the Chosen One met with his mother and made final preparations for his journey. She informed him that a merchant trader named Vic, hailing from the nearby village of Klamath, had given them a Vault 13 water canteen, and possibly knew the location of the Holy 13. 2 days later, the Chosen One set out from Areo, heading south on his quest to find the GECK. A few days after setting out from the canyons of Areo, the Chosen One reached the settlement of Klamath. Upon arriving, he found the settlement's people to be a rather dull folk, living simple rustic lives as Brahmin packherders and gecko trappers. The Chosen One asked around town for Vic, and eventually found his trading shack, but Vic was missing. He soon discovered that Vic had travelled southeast to a settlement called the Den. The Chosen One assisted the populace with small tasks, such as ridding the town of a pack of mutant rats, battling a rampaging robot near a crashed Enclave vertibird in the adjacent canyon, and guarding the local Brahmin herd. His work helped make the boring town of Klamath a little more lively. While visiting the Buckner House, Klamath's inn and tavern, the Chosen One met a fellow tribal. This tribal was named Sulik, and was working off the debts he owed to the innkeeper, Ardin Buckner. The Chosen One was able to wipe away Sulik's debt by assisting Ardin Buckner in rescuing her fiancé, Smiley the Trapper, from a nearby network of toxic caves. Released from his debt, Sulik offered to join the Chosen One on his quest for the GECK as repayment. and the two headed southeast towards the Den. In August, they reached the Den, a town of ill repute, filled with slavers, thieves, and drug addicts. In the town's casino, run by an honest woman named Rebecca Dyer, the Chosen One learned about the nasty situation in the Den. A newly invented drug known as Jet was running rampant through the streets, turning many of the Den's inhabitants into junkies, and the town was practically run by a slaver named Metzger. It turned out that Vic had run afoul of Metzger for selling him a faulty radio, and was being held captive at his base in town. When the Chosen One tried to negotiate Vic's release with Metzger, things turned violent, and he ended up fighting and killing the whole gang to free the trader. Although he had freed Vic, the Chosen One was disappointed to discover that he did not know the whereabouts of Vault 13, and that he had acquired the flasks while trading at a place called Vault City to the east. Having no place else to go, Vic offered to tag along with the Chosen One and Sulik, and their party set off for Vault City. With the death of Metzger and his slavers, the Den would slowly begin to heal under the guidance of Rebecca Dyer. During his travels through the wasteland en route to Vault City, the Chosen One took time to assist the people in the dying settlement of Modoc. He finally reached Vault City in late October. Vault City was a settlement created by the inhabitants of Vault 8, using their own GECK. Though their town was prospering, the Vault City residents looked down on wastelanders, restricting their access to the outer courtyard unless they gained citizenship or a day pass. The Chosen One visited a bar in the courtyard owned by John Cassidy, a marauder who had settled down in Vault City due to his ailing health. Befriending the man, the Chosen One convinced Cassidy to join his growing party of followers in his quest to find the GECK. The Chosen One eventually managed to enter downtown Vault City and met with the settlement's leader, First Citizen Joanne Lynette, who was surprised by his Vault 13 jumpsuit. Although disappointed that he was not a Vault dweller himself, Lynette stated that Vault 8's computer mainframe may have the location of Vault 13 records. However, she would only provide access to the Chosen One if he helped her deal with the town's problems, dealing with ghouls who had inhabited and reactivated the nearby Gecko power station, which they believed was poisoning their water system. The Chosen One agreed and went to Gecko, where he met with the settlement's leader Harold and his fellow ghouls. While speaking with Harold and the others, he learned of Vault City's prejudice towards the ghouls, and their hostility to Harold's attempts to negotiate a trade deal with them. The Chosen One resolved the problem by going over Lynette's head to negotiate with a Vault City councillor in mediating a trade deal where Vault City would provide medical supplies to the ghouls of Gecko in exchange for power production from the reactor. Now able to enter Vault 8, the Chosen One accessed its mainframe and discovered that a supply chain error had led to Vault 8 receiving a surplus of water chips intended for Vault 13, which had received the former's intended second GECK. Although the mainframe didn't mention Vault 13's location, it did record the location of Vault 15 close by. With this information, the Chosen One set off once again, this time to the south. Over the winter, the Chosen One visited the crime-ridden town of New Reno and became embroiled in the local feuds between New Reno's crime families, the Bishops, Mordinos, Wrights and Salvatoris. He investigated the death of Richard Wright, the youngest son of crime boss Orville Wright, who had died of a jet overdose. Orville suspected that the culprits were the Mordinos, the biggest suppliers of jet in New Reno. However, by digging deeper, it was uncovered that the Salvatoris were behind the murder, as they hoped to frame the Mordinos and trigger a violent gang war. One night, the Chosen One discreetly followed the Salvatoris outside town to their secret meeting with the Enclave, and in exchange for some unknown chemical compounds, the Salvatoris received a shipment of the Enclave's laser weaponry, with which the Salvatoris would seize control of New Reno once the other crime families had weakened themselves in their gang war. Convincing Orville of the truth behind his son's murder, the Chosen One succeeded in preventing all-out war on the streets. In early 2242, the Chosen One left New Reno to resume his journey, having run afoul of the Bishop crime family after sleeping with Mrs. Bishop. During his wasteland travels, he visited the settlement of Broken Hills, run by a super-mutant sheriff named Marcus. When the town's problems were resolved by the Chosen One, Marcus agreed to join his party's travels. In the spring, they reached Shady Sands, now the capital of the growing New California Republic. The Chosen One met the NCR's leaders, the elderly President Tandy, whom the Vault Dweller had saved 80 years ago. Tandy asked the Chosen One if he could help her and Shady Sands as his grandfather had done. Vault 15 contained notable pre-war computer parts that the NCR could use to improve itself and grow. but the vault was inhabited by a shantytown of squatters. Reaching Vault 15, the Chosen One met with the squatters, who were being protected by a gang calling themselves the New Khans, led by an elderly raider named Darien. The New Khans were using the squatters and sought to gain revenge on President Tandy for their persecution by the NCR, and when the Chosen One gained the trust of the squatters, he entered Vault 15 to defeat Darien's raiders. With the New Khans and their leader dead, the grateful Vault 15 squatters agreed to be annexed by the NCR. Before leaving the vault, the Chosen One located its intact computer mainframe, which had the location of Vault 13 recorded in its systems. After months of searching, he had at last found it. The Chosen One and his followers arrived at Vault 13 on July 20th. The vault was being inhabited by a group of surprisingly passive Deathclaws, typically vicious mutants that killed anything on sight. Even more surprisingly, these Deathclaws could speak, and when the Chosen One spoke to their leader, named Gruthar, he helped them fix Vault 13's main computer in exchange for the GECK. The Chosen One also met another Deathclaw draped in a large cloak, named Goris, who desired to travel with the Chosen One and see the wasteland and its people. With the GECK in his possession, the Chosen One and his band went north to return to Areo in triumph. That night, however, he received a dream vision from Areo's shaman, Hakunin, who stated that the village was dying and had little time left, urging him to hurry home. When the group returned to Areo weeks later, they found it in smouldering ruins. A mortally wounded Hakunin informed them that men came to the village riding metal birds and stole the inhabitants. His home destroyed and his people taken, the Chosen One became determined to do whatever it took to find and rescue them. Hakunin said the kidnappers flew south, then died from his wounds. Over the next 2 weeks, the group headed south, until they arrived at the ruins of San Francisco, where they located a derelict oil tanker docked along the bay, the PMV Valdez. The Valdez was inhabited by a group of squatters, led by the ship's self-appointed captain A. Ron Meyers, who turned out to be a deserter from the Enclave. Meyers informed the Chosen One where the Enclave would have taken his people, an offshore oil rig beyond the California coast. Meyers said that if they could get the Valdez operational, he would be able to take them to the rig. However, it would also require getting the tanker's FOB for the navigation computer, which was stored at the Enclave's main base in New California at Navarro. While his companions helped fix the ship, the Chosen One traveled to Navarro for the FOB, duping the forward sentry that he was a new recruit for the Enclave, and gaining access to the base. Making his way through the Enclave offices at Navarro, he located the FOB and hurried back to San Francisco. The FOB was input into the navigation computer, and the Valdez came to life, steaming into the San Francisco Bay and out to the Pacific, on a course set for the Enclave's Poseidon oil rig. Due to being a registered Poseidon vessel, the Valdez safely passed the rig's defense turrets and docked with the lower platform. The Chosen One and his followers entered the rig, and he disguised himself in Enclave power armor to infiltrate the base while his companions guarded the exit. He passed through the base's labs, where he found not only the Areo villagers and his mother, but residents of Vault 13 as well. His mother said that the scientists were experimenting on them with something called FEV. The Chosen One moved deeper into the base, intending to destroy the rig's power core to shut down the security gates and free his people. When he reached a large office section, the Chosen One came face to face with the Enclave's leader, President Dick Richardson. Seeing through the Chosen One's disguise, President Richardson proudly explained the Enclave's sinister plan. They were experimenting with the FEV virus recovered at the ruins of the Mariposa military base to modify it into an airborne chemical agent capable of killing any genetically mutated life, basically everyone after the Great War. From their oil rig, the Enclave would release the modified FEV into the jet stream, carrying the biological weapon across the globe, and cleansing it of mutants whom they deemed unworthy of life. With this complete, the Enclave would reclaim the Earth from the mutants. Disgusted by the Enclave's genocidal plans, the Chosen One attacked and killed President Richardson and the surrounding guards, before making his way to the rig's reactor core. Overloading the reactor to a critical meltdown state, the Chosen One hurried back to the exit with the freed Areo villagers and captive Vault 13 residents. Only one last obstacle stood in his way. Towering over the path to the exit was Frank Horrigan, a massive Enclave agent and enforcer for the president, who had been mutated by exposure to FEV into a hulking giant. Horrigan stated that the Chosen One's journey was at an end and attacked. A fierce battle ensued, and through the assistance of his companions and reprogrammed defense turrets, the Chosen One finally defeated Horrigan, who, with his dying words, boasted that they would never escape the blast in time. They raced to the Valdez and set it in motion back towards San Francisco. With seconds to spare, the Valdez escaped as a nuclear explosion destroyed the Enclave oil rig. The Chosen One's journey was finished. He had saved his people and retrieved the GECK, with which he rebuilt Areo into a thriving community. His actions throughout the year-long journey sent ripples through the wastes. Towns he assisted, such as the Den and Modoc, recovered and prospered, while the New California Republic leveraged its power and influence to expand across the wasteland. Even crime-ridden New Reno healed through the efforts of the Wright family. Areo's village elder, the Chosen One's mother, eventually died in her sleep, confident that Areo was in good shape under the leadership of her son. With the destruction of the Enclave oil rig, the NCR and Brotherhood of Steel cooperated to attack their base at Navarro, forcing the remnants of the Enclave to relocate east across the Rockies, eventually taking them all the way to the ruins of Washington, D.C. Any Enclave personnel who remained in New California went into hiding with new identities, as they were now wanted criminals convicted of crimes against humanity by the NCR. With the Enclave's defeat in 2242, the wasteland of New California seemed to be on a path towards recovery, finally, and even regaining some form of civilization lost after the Great War. We hope you enjoyed this video. More stories from the Fallout universe are on the way, so make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button to see them. Please consider liking, commenting and sharing, it helps immensely. Our videos would be impossible without our kind patrons and YouTube channel members, whose ranks you can join via the links in the description to know our schedule, get early access to our videos, access our Discord, and much more. This is the Wizards and Warriors channel, and we will catch you on the next one.